I've never seen anything more stupid in my life than you.
Well, you're lucky enough to go down to one of the games, mate, down in Melbourne. It was written that you had a pretty frosty reception. How did it feel, mate?
Yeah, look, I obviously didn't enjoy it, but I'm absolutely confident we made the right decisions. They were involved in large systematic cheating, and those people who booed me yesterday, well, they obviously support the cheating that was going on, and I don't think people are really thinking through that when they booed.
You don't really mean that, David. Surely you know that they were passionate footy who had two premierships taken away from them. Just because they booed you doesn't mean they condone the cheating that went on. It just meant it was an and I don't condone what they did. Let me just say that right up the front. I think it was unnecessary and prolonged and rude, but it was born from passion. And isn't that what you want, really, in a way?
No, I never really go for that whole passion line. I mean, you know, terrorists are passionate about what they do, and you know that doesn't make it right.
That's possibly the worst analogy I've ever heard in my life. With all due respect, David.
Well, it's a topical one at the moment. You know, I mean,
give us a spell, Mr. Gallop. With all due respect,
passion is a bad excuse, and it gets used too much in sport. You know, passion shouldn't be something that is an excuse for poor behaviour.
Do you regret, David, any stage do you look back and regret not mending these relationships earlier? There seems to be one with Manly as well, Manly and Melbourne.
Well, look, I offered to go down to Melbourne on day one after all this happened, but I think there's an element of respecting that once you've punished people, you know, you don't get in their face. You give them time to get over it and get their own head around it. And so I went when they wanted me to go, and that ended up being towards the back end of last season.
Yeah. So if you'd had your choice, David, would you not have gone?
I would have gone when they thought it was appropriate. Do you mean yesterday or last season?
Well, at all. I mean, yesterday when you had to present the minor premiership trophy, if you'd had an option, would you have rather not gone?
No, I was happy to go. All I'm saying is I didn't go straight away last year, which I think what Brad's question was.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk for a moment. Let's change topic quickly here.
Do you apologise for those comments?
Oh, look, it was an extreme analogy. I obviously wasn't calling supporters terrorists. That's nonsense. I was simply making the point that you can't use poor behaviour. You can't use passion as an excuse for poor behaviour. I think we all use extreme analogies, and of course the link that's being drawn to that was not one I intended.
So do you apologise?
Yeah, look, I apologise if that did cause offence, but it wasn't a link I was trying to make. My point was a really simple one, that passion is not an excuse for poor behaviour, and I used an extreme analogy.
Well, David, you talk about poor behaviour. I mean, most CEOs in your position, you know, a la Andrew Demetriou, it's probably the best person to use as a comparison. You would normally laugh it off. I mean, normally CEOs are better than that. I mean, would have you expected anything less from Melbourne Storm supporters given what they've been through?
Look, I think the decisions that we took in relation to the Melbourne Storm were the right decisions. I think they were cheating on the other 15 clubs in the competition, their players and their fans. And I think you're right, it wasn't unexpected, but I think their supporters need to think through what was going on down there, and perhaps realise that there wasn't really much alternative to the action we took.
I think most people, Melbourne Storm fans, David, would appreciate the fact that you made some hard decisions, and although it probably hurt, they were, in essence, the right decisions. We could argue about the severity at the margin, but I think they were ostensibly the right decisions. But surely, and follow up from Tony's question, surely you would have expected... Can I firstly ask, how many games, Melbourne Storm games, have you been to this year in Melbourne?
No, that was my first home game there.
So surely you would expect that this type of thing happened. And, I mean, we see with politicians all the time where they go into an environment and they get booed because people don't agree necessarily with their policies. Your whole attitude to this really surprised me in the sense that it seemed a little precious, to be frank.
And I'm not saying it wasn't unexpected. I got asked the question, isn't it okay because they're just passionate? And I said, well, no, I don't think we should always excuse things in sport or anywhere else on the grounds of passion. It's not an excuse. The decisions get made in boardrooms, at football clubs, and sometimes the wrong decision can be made because people are said to be passionate.